Hello dear tea friends from around the world. Welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler, the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com boutique. Today it's spring. It's also 2 years that I've started to make these weekly videos teaching you about tea, and today I'm pleased to introduce a new tea to my selection, Baozhong, that was scented with Osmanthus flowers naturally, and let's take it out to have a look at it. And it comes from Sanxia. It's made in winter because the flowers only blossom in winter, so you cannot make this tea in spring. You have to use the tea that you have on hand, and then you have to use the flowers as soon as they blossom to scent the leaves with it. So I want to give you a bit more detail about this new tea that is in my selection. When you look at the leaves, you will notice lots of flowers. These are very small, golden, a bit orange Osmanthus flowers among the leaves, and they really have this distinctive Osmanthus smell that is really overpowering the smell of the Baozhong. So before we discuss this tea in detail, I wanted to go back a little bit in history about Baozhong cha. What is Baozhong tea? This is really the first really brand, the first tea that was that came out in Taiwan in the mid to end of the 19th century. So about 1860 something, you can find the first mentions of the word Baozhong. Baozhong actually it means simply it's wrapped in the middle. And the very first Baozhong came from a plantation in Nangang, which is now part of Taipei. You can take the MRT to go there, but before it used to be a bit farther away from Taipei, one of the mountains surrounding Taipei on the east. And what is important, so Baozhong is a tea that is looks very much like a wheat tea because the immigrants from Fujian that came to Taiwan used the same techniques as in the Hui Mountains. So it looks very much like a wheat tea. So the reason why originally it was called oolong is because it means dark dragon, and when you look at the shape of some of these leaves, you can imagine, yes, maybe something like a dark dragon. But Baozhong became really specific to Taiwan due to its packaging, but actually in terms of process, it's really very similar to Hui. Just also what changed is the cultivars used in Taiwan are not necessarily the same as used in Hui. Another big difference very early in Taiwan, at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, is that you had two big categories of Baozhong. The regular Baozhong that we know now, that was mostly sent toward Western nations, and the flower-scented Baozhong, like a merchant called Chen Taojun, who has given us the Taipei Story House on the Zhongshan North Road, a very nice, almost Art Nouveau villa that he built beginning of the 20th century in the Western style in North Taipei. And Chen Taojun, he's a merchant who specialized also in Baozhong that was scented with flowers, and this kind of scented Baozhong was mostly exported towards Southeast Asia. In these countries, people liked really very fresh scents, and so in this time it was this Baozhong was scented with jasmine flowers, maybe also Osmanthus flowers, yulan flowers, all kinds of flowers that they could find in Taiwan. They would use to scent Baozhong and then export it to Southeast Asia. So scented Baozhong is something that is very traditional to Taiwan. It has over 100 years history, but it has suffered from the competition of chemical scenting, essential oils that can where you can scent a lot of leaves with just a little bit of oils. So it's very, very rare now to use real flowers to scent Baozhong or in Taiwan. So here we are lucky because this farmer, not only does he produce Baozhong with the same leaves that he uses to make his bilochun. He's the same producer as the bilochun that you can find under my green tea category, and this here is really the best grade that you can get. No, what's interesting is with the same cultivar, Qingxing Ganzong, he's making also Baozhong when the weather is not so cold and does not produce really the lightest flavors that he can get with bilochun. So when it's a little bit warmer, so a little bit later in the spring, or here early in the winter or late in the fall season, that's when he's making Baozhong with the same leaves. What is interesting is, since his plantation has moved from a normal plantation to an organic plantation, these leaves are organic, really very high grade, very pure in terms of taste. And because he has a large Osmanthus tree on his land, he's using his own Osmanthus flowers to scent this Baozhong. So, because in the past, to make scented Baozhong, scented teas, like my jasmine tea, for instance, you need two producers. One is the tea producer who makes the tea, and second, you need a flower producer who is then in charge of scenting the leaves with the flowers that he has harvested. But here, everything is done by the same producer, and therefore, in terms of quality and purity, it's really very high, and we can see lots of Osmanthus flowers already in the dry leaves. And I would also say a word about Osmanthus, because what is interesting is this smell is very important for Taiwanese oolongs, because when you age a lot of various oolongs from Taiwan, after a while, a lot of these a little bit aged oolongs, they develop an Osmanthus smell naturally, without any scenting. But maybe if you're not very aware of what does Osmanthus smell like, it's a bit difficult to recognize in tea, because the flavors of tea are so light. One of the challenge is always to find the right word to describe the fragrance that we are enjoying in the cup of tea. So this Osmanthus Baozhong will really help you to once for all to know, oh, this is Osmanthus smell, and then maybe you will realize, oh, actually you have smelled it before in other oolongs, especially in aged oolongs, and these Osmanthus smells, they come up naturally in oolongs. So that's also why I think this Osmanthus flower is such a good combination with Baozhong, because anyway, this is a smell that you smell very often, even without any Osmanthus flowers. Let's go ahead and drink some, and then I can describe this tea a bit more in detail for you. We already see the leaves are rather small, some buds with white buds, so very high grade leaves, and yes, lots of yellow, orange flowers sometimes you can you need a machine to separate the flowers from the leaves. Here, since they are completely dried at the end, it's not really necessary to separate. If you really want to make this tea very high grade, you could actually take away these Osmanthus flowers, but this is something that a producer who is specialized on scenting teas would have. This very local all-round farmer does not have this machine to filter away the flowers, so that's why you can still see them, but it's no harm so to see them. Anyway, it's like they are organic also, these flowers, so you can consume them without any problem. Always we preheat our Gaiwan. For our first brew, let's try with the Gaiwan. Important is to preheat the lid. If you want, you can turn the lid inside the water. This will make it faster. And now preheat our cups. Try to see how much water goes in the cups. So here I have some flowers left. I can choose to put them inside or not. Let's not put so many inside. Oh dear Lord. Really make sure that the water is really boiling. You may smell. So I'm not, since it's one of the first times, I recommend you start with fewer leaves. So I've put maybe 10, maximum 20% full for the dry leaves. So we have a good thick layer of leaves, but only one layer, not too much. And here we go. To increase the fragrance, you may brew rather quickly. Since we did not use so many leaves because it's really high-grade Baozhong, we go a bit slow. The good thing is, since it's not rolled, it opens up faster, so it does not have to brew so long as a high mountain oolong. Okay. A nice color, of course, much more concentrated than the Baozhong. The oxidation of the leaves is also a bit higher. This is really a more traditional Baozhong. When you scent Baozhong with flowers, the oxidation of the leaves of the tea will also increase, because the flowers, they bring some moisture, so this moisture will transfer also together with the scents to the leaves, and this will make the oxidation process continue a bit longer for the leaves, until then the leaves are completely dried. So it's actually quite normal that scented Baozhong would have a bit higher oxidation level than a non-scented Baozhong. Very pure taste, very sweet, and the fragrance of Osmanthus is already very strong, very powerful, despite, as you can see, the cup, the Gaiwan is barely 1/4 full of leaves and flowers, lots of flowers at the lid of the Gabe, and really it smells like Osmanthus. And it feels like you are under an Osmanthus tree in nature, and it smells so flowery. And the nice thing about this organic Baozhong is the purity of the taste and the sweetness. So easy, so nice, and yeah. So it's not a green tea, so it can be brewed a bit stronger, but actually with the light taste, it makes the flower fragrance very light, very spring-like. So it's really up to your taste how you prefer to brew it. So personally, I think that with these few leaves, it's already very nice. And even porcelain Gaiwan is getting all these flower notes with boiling water. Okay, this was simply this presentation of this new Baozhong that was therefore harvested in winter in Sanxia, and then scented a bit later, also still in the winter, with the Osmanthus flowers. And it is made very traditionally, so you can really see all the Osmanthus flowers that were used to scent this tea, and it is a traditional way also of making Baozhong, over 100 years old history of scenting Baozhong with flowers. So let's enjoy all the kinds of possibilities that oolongs and Baozhong have to offer, and also all the other types of teas. This will bring a lot of flower to your palate and to your tea room. So I hope that you'll enjoy it, and I say thank you and see you next week for another tea class and probably another tea. Bye bye.